We've made it, boys and girls. Welcome to Wild Card Weekend here on the Betting Pros YouTube channel. He is Pat Fitzmaurice. I am Matt Perrault, and we are with you all the way up to kickoff of the first game of the postseason, the Rams and the Panthers. Pat, good to see you. I didn't show up on a horse today like Xavier Legette did for the Panthers, but I am ready to go. We got 2 games today. 3 games tomorrow and 1 game on Monday to get in here on this live stream. No live stream tomorrow. We're doing it all right here today. How are you, Pat?
Doing great, Matt. And I want to thank you for pandering to me with your Green Bay Packers hat. I am not wearing Packers gear, but I get a lot riding on this game. I'm a Wisconsin born and bred Packers fan living behind enemy lines in the Chicagoland area. And I've got a lot of Bears fans in my life. So if the Packers don't win this game, I might have to go into hiding for a few weeks, or at least until the Bears are eliminated.
Right. So here's what's going to happen. We have some time. Like normally we do the entire NFL slate for a Sunday, and that could be up to 10 to 12 games. So we do kind of move quickly from game to game, talk about bets, talk about plays, talk about leans, and get into, 1 or 2 thoughts. We can kind of stretch our legs here out a little bit and spend some time really getting into each individual game, talk about some of the strategies, talk about some of the in-game wagering you could be making when these games kick off here at 4:15 Eastern time, and then later tonight with the Bears and the Packers and the 3 games tomorrow and whatnot. So get comfortable. We do have a chance to answer some questions. So if you guys want to get in on the chat and you want to fire questions, you can go ahead and do that, and we'll get to them at some point during the conversation for the games. Reminder, this is a betting show. Okay, so if you're going to ask me if you're playing any DFS games today or whatever, I have no idea, and Pat can help you with it, but I am completely clueless on that side of things. I can help you with prop betting, teasing, playing, betting, straight bets, sides, and totals and whatnot. I can help you, but who to play today versus somebody else, I have no idea if you even are going to play DFS with the postseason today. So just a little FY disclaimer coming up. Let's start with a line that is hard to believe. This is a playoff football game with a line of 10.5 between the Rams and the Panthers. This is a game with a total of 46. We've seen the total go as high as 11. It's been down as low as 10 for this game. Pat, the pros are all over the Rams today. They have laid 10. They've laid 10.5. They've laid 11. There's been some buyback at 11 to drop it back to 10.5. But are you surprised that the pro money has come in on a favorite on the road?
I'm not totally surprised about that, Matt, because it is really hard for me to see the Panthers beating the Rams. Like, offensively, the Rams can beat you through the air or on the ground. They have a huge quarterback advantage in this game with Matthew Stafford, playoff season, battle-tested against Bryce Young. The Panthers rank 31st in pressure rate, so Stafford is probably going to have plenty of time to throw. And defensively, the Rams can wreak all sorts of havoc up front. They rank 4th in pressure rate. They were tied for 7th in sacks. They're 5th in DVOA against the run. And the Panthers sort of actively try to hide Bryce Young on offense. He's thrown 25 or fewer passes in half his starts this season. And I don't really think the Panthers can rely all that heavily on their running game either, which has really fallen off. Earlier in the season, Carolina, the running game cranked up with Rico Dowdle, but over his last 8 games, Dowdle has averaged 3.2 yards per carry. And the Panthers have been held under 100 rushing yards in 4 of their last 6 games, under 70 rushing yards in 3 of their last 6, and in their loss to the Buccaneers in Week 18, they had 19 rushing yards as a team. So even if I squint hard, I just can't envision the Panthers winning this game. And yet I just can't lay 10 or 10.5 points with a road team in the playoffs. And like, they're expecting rain for much of this game today, Matt, which kind of adds an element of randomness. We saw the Panthers beat the Rams 31-28 in Charlotte back in Week 13. Kind of a rare sloppy game for Stafford, and probably Bryce Young's best game of the season. Only threw 20 passes in that game, but Bryce Young had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Stafford, 2 interceptions, lost a fumble. So turnovers were 3-0 in favor of the Panthers in that game. Panthers kind of played keep away, held the Rams under 25 minutes of possession time. I'm just laying off this one, Matt. The other trend that's kind of scary if you're thinking about betting the Rams is that the Panthers are 8-0 against the spread this season, coming off losses, and they're coming off a Week 18 loss to the Buccaneers.
So that's where I was going to go. So you have a 12-5 Rams team ATS. Carolina is 10-7 ATS. 8-4 against the conference. The Rams are 7-5 against the conference. 4-1 against the number over the last 5 games for LA. 3-2 over the last 5 games for Carolina. But the stat that everybody is running to here, and let's just go through the schedule. Against the Jets on the 19th of October, they won the game by 7 points. They lost to Buffalo by 31 in the next game at home. Then they went to Green Bay and they beat your Packers outright, covering the 13-point number easily. They won the game outright. Then they lost by 10 at home to New Orleans. They turned around as 4.5-point dogs to Atlanta, and they won the game by 3. They then went to San Francisco and lost the game by 11 to only turn around and, like you mentioned, beat the Rams as 10-point dogs. The number was 10.5, or was 10 there. It's 10.5 today. So very similar in terms of how the books are handicapping this and from a line perspective. Then they lost to New Orleans by 3 on the road. They beat Tampa by 3 at home. They lost by 17 to Seattle. And then they beat Tampa they covered. They lost by 2, but they covered the 3-point line. All that being said, to be completely frank, I don't think any of it matters. I really don't. I think there is such a massive mismatch between these two teams. And I think there's going to be a big number put up today by Matthew Stafford and company. I know there's a question in the chat from Stafford to ladder it to 300 yards from Nate. Yes, I do think that this is a big game for this Rams offense. I think Puka Nacua, my one prop bet on this game is Puka over 94.5 rushing and receiving yards. I think he's going to be unstoppable today. I just don't think this Panther defense is going to be able to keep up. If I was going to bet it, I would lay the 10.5, but I'm with you. It's a lot of points in the playoffs to lay. So I'm going to tease it down. I got 10. I teased it down to 4 to take the Rams -4. And then I'm going to bet the over 46.5. You can also do a same game if you want. You can take that total down to 40.5 and go over and take the Rams from 10 and go on and pull it down to -4. If you want to tease this game, same game, I've done that as well. It will be so surprising if this is a 1-score game to me, Pat. I just have a hard time seeing the Panthers are going to keep this game close.
Yeah, the Panthers have been outscored by 69 points on the season. They're expected,
and they're a playoff team. A playoff team.
Yeah, 25th in overall DVOA, 25th. Next worst team in overall DVOA of the playoff teams. I believe it's the Chargers at 17th.
Okay.
The expected win total for the Panthers this year is 6.5. So I'm with you there. As for Nate's thing about laddering the Stafford passing total, the only concern I have there is the rain, which I think they believe could be heaviest right at the start of the game and then still continuing on, but maybe lightening up a little bit. I just wonder if like a wet ball becomes a bit of a problem. Like if that's kind of an issue early on, that would be my fear, that the weather could sort of short circuit that play.
I tend to only bet weather when it's wind, not rain.
Yep.
And I think Stafford's played plenty, in the rain, in weather, in fine. It's a dome team going outside, so there could be somewhat of an issue there from ball security with the Rams. But I just look at this Rams offense with Devontae Adams, who could have played last week. He led the NFL in red zone touchdowns. He really creates problems for the defensive backs on the opposing defense, because now you got to worry about not just Puka, but you got to worry about Devontae Adams. I do think that Kyron Williams and company will have success running the football, but the Rams are 7-2 this year to the over on the road. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they score a ton, and their defense gives up points on the road. If you kind of go through the Rams schedule, we did the Carolina schedule. When you go through the Rams schedule on some of the road games, 31 points they gave up to Carolina, a little bit of an anomaly, but they gave up 38 points to Seattle on the road. They gave up 27 points to Atlanta on the road. They gave up 33 points to Philadelphia on the road. So this is not the Rams defense at home is much different than the Rams defense on the road. And everyone's been talking about how dominant this Rams defense has been at times, and it has at times. But I think the Panthers will score today. I don't think they get blanked. I don't think they get 10 points. I think Bryce Young will score. I think they will put up points. I just don't think they'll be able to keep up with a high potent offense for the Rams.
Yeah, and I just checked the weather again, and now it looks like it's maybe going to be lighter rain early in the game. So there could be periods where it comes down pretty good, but like not throughout the game. So that concerns me a little less. And yeah, maybe laddering Stafford, not the worst idea.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, again, it's a Panthers defense that has not been great at times this season. In particular, at home, they've not been great this season. And I do think that, the professionals are going to look at this and go, all right, on paper, this is a mismatch. And the public is going to say that's too many points. But that's why the pro money has come in on the on the Rams to cover the number, because they have the number one scoring offense in the NFL, number one yards per game, number one points per play for number one yards per play for this Rams offense up against a defense that's pretty much 15th to 20th in most major stat categories, just kind of average. In through the air, they give up 7.2 yards per pass play. That's 21st in the NFL. And look at number of yards given up, 204 yards per game given up. That's 15th best in the NFL. So you're facing kind of a middle of the pack defense up against the number one offense. And given the loss and given the fact that Sean McVay and company, they love revenge spots, like this is your ultimate revenge spot here on this. So I don't mind this by M-Class 3. Rams in the first half, -6.5. Don't mind that at all. I think that's probably a pretty good way of approaching this game. If you don't like to lay the big number, just take the first half, because I do think you'll see a quick start here for the Rams. But let's paint the picture. How do the Panthers beat the Rams? They did it once. How would they do it again?
Big turnover advantage, just like regular season. It was 3-0 in the turnover edge for the Panthers just to get a 3-point win. So it would have to be turnovers, I think, and maybe you score off one of those turnovers. And Bryce Young would probably have to play the game of his life.
Yeah, I think it only comes down to, I think it's just turnovers. I think if we see Matthew Stafford throw 2 or more interceptions in this game, yeah, I think the Panthers could wind up winning. And, maybe to your point, maybe it does rain hard and the ball is slick and you do see fumbles for the Rams, and that could lead to turnovers and quick scores and short fields for Carolina. They are at home, so that, this should be a big advantage for the Panthers at home. I'm just really excited to see what this Rams team looks like when they get the chance to be, one, healthy, but two, they know, if you look at the way this goes, and let's just say I'm right, we'll get to the Packer game here in a second, but I like the Packers to win the game. Packers win the game. The Rams know that they have a chance to go play Philly in Philly again. They get to rid themselves of that game that happened last year where they were winning that until the snow showed up. And when the snow showed up, everything went to crap for the Rams, and it was all Eagles, and it was all Saquon Barkley. So I think this team has, not that they're on a mission, but they know the path, and the path could be, a way of ridding themselves of what happened last year when they thought they were the best team in football and they lost to the Eagles.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you there. That's it. When trying to come up with scenarios in my head where the Panthers beat the Rams, it was just like, it was the really improbable stuff. Basically a Stafford meltdown. Huge turnover advantage for the Panthers. Just things that out of the ordinary, things that within the realm of possibility, but not things you're going to bet on.
No, I mean, again, this is favorite or nothing. I mean, while I understand the idea of taking the Panthers and saying, okay, this is too many points, it actually, in other years, yes. I mean, we're 0-3. When we've seen a line of this big, 7.5 or higher has happened 4 times for a road favorite. This is the 4th time. The 3 previous teams are 1-2 straight up, but 0-3 ATS when this happens. So since 1970 in the merger, teams that closed as a 4-point or higher road favorite in the postseason are 1-8 against the spread, losing the last 8 games in a row. The last time a road team covered a line of this magnitude was the 1971 Baltimore Colts. So it's it's been a minute, Pat, since we've seen it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess one way to frame this game, Matt, is that coming into the season, I think we all saw the Panthers as a team that was very much still under construction.
Right.
It's still working, maybe don't have their quarterback of the future, still trying to build a defense that was like pretty bad last year. Just not enough playmakers on offense, which is still kind of a problem. They got Tedero McMillan. He's terrific, but other than him, there's not really a lot of juice otherwise. And the Rams at times this season were number one in everyone's power rankings. And when they weren't number one, they were still top five. This is one of the best teams in football going against a team that got in by virtue of winning the worst division in football and doing it in kind of a shady way.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those games where we go back and go, oh, right, it's Sean McVay. So Sean McVay, as a road favorite with the Rams, is 34-10 straight up, 26-18 against the number. When McVay is a road favorite of 3 points or more, he is 27-6 straight up, 19-14 ATS. And when he is a road favorite 4 points or more, he is 19-2 straight up, and 12-9 against the spread. So money line parlay for the Rams, I think you're safe. Teasing the Rams down, I think you're safe. The question is going to be, there could be a backdoor touchdown where they win the game by 10 and you've laid 10.5 and you get hooked. That would be like the nightmare scenario, and the books are going to want this to happen. And you could go and say, well, they're 8-0 ATS, like we mentioned, off a straight up loss. They're 8-0 against the spread. So maybe they would come in and backdoor and have it. Bigger home underdogs in the playoffs have had success. Home dogs of 4 points or more in the last 50 years of the NFL. They are 8-0 ATS, like we talked about. So that would be, take a first half number, tease them down. I think it's Rams straight up and the over, but that number is going to be probably somewhere in question towards the stretch where it's like 14, 17, and maybe the Panthers are driving with a backdoor opportunity to come in there and maybe get you and just bite you in the last minute. So, but you don't think the Panthers win the game, do you?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I would be really, really surprised. James is asking about Bryce Young rushing. It's 16.5.
He's beat
I don't hate it.
He's beat it. He's beat it in 4 of his last 5 games. And one thing, like, this is just kind of a theory of mine, but the more the other team can apply the pressure, the more I like rushing overs for a team, for a quarterback. And the Rams can dial up pressure, 4th in pressure rate, 7th in sacks. So I kind of like that play. But I like a different Bryce Young prop a little more. I like the under on his yardage.
Okay.
Which at last check, it's come down a little as the week has gone on. I think it was at 194.5 when I got it this week. Now it's down to 191.5 on Hard Rock Bet, but Bryce Young is averaging under 30 pass attempts a game and 188.2 passing yards a game, just 6.3 yards per attempt this season. Not very impressive numbers. And he has failed to clear this number, I think, in 3 of his last 4 and 8 of his last 11 games. I think they're going to put the clamps on Bryce Young in this game.
All right. So for you guys in the chat who are confused as to why the Patriot guy is wearing a Packer hat, it's because I am on Pat's team today. 12-2 is 12-2. I fully understand the Packers this year are just 7-10 against the spread. Bears are 10-7 against the spread. The Packers are 3-6 ATS on the road. The Bears are 5-3 ATS at home. These teams played 2 times. The first matchup was an absolute barn burner all the way to the end. Green Bay intercepts Caleb in the end zone. They win and they cover the 6.5 points by a measly half a point. And then we go to Chicago and they are 1-point dogs and they lose the game by 6 because they can't recover an onside kick. And they should have won the game, but they didn't win the game. This ending, the onside kick ending in Chicago, to me, factors into my handicap. I think your boys are pissed off. I think they know they'll let one get away. They're furious about being the 7 seed. This team, I almost, if you go back and look at how I talked about your Packer team in September and October, I was telling people that I was shopping for futures for the Packers to win the Super Bowl. Now, that was before Micah got hurt. Okay, so fine. Parsons getting hurt changed everything. I'm glad that I did not buy that ticket. However, I'm still very high on Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love in this matchup, and I think this was the worst scenario for the Bears because the Eagles could have played their starters and they could have been the 2 seed. And then this game doesn't happen. Instead, the Bears get their bugaboo. They get their daddy in the playoffs. I like the Packers. Where are you, Green Bay fan?
I love your confidence in my Green Bay Packers, Matt. But I don't really like either side just because of how close both of those games were. I mean, even though the Packers, yes, they should have won that second game in Chicago, but I still like it was never out of reach, and it was never a game that like the Packers had a meltdown into hand to the Bears. They didn't recover an onside kick. Sure, they should have won the game, but both of these games went down to the wire. And so Seth, our producer, and I were talking about this before we came on, and it feels like a game where neither of us is really confident in our team, but we're confident this game is probably going to take a couple years off our lives.
So here are some really interesting numbers. If you're a Bear fan and you're in the chat, let me give you some hope. The Packers have lost 4 straight games to end the regular season for the first time since 1990, and they are only the 4th team ever to enter the playoffs on a 4+ straight up losing streak.
Wow.
The 24 Steelers, the 99 Lions, the 86 Jets, none of those teams made the conference championship. Overall, we have seen a total of 13 teams in the Super Bowl era have a 4+ game straight up losing streak that bled into December or later, and only one made the conference championship game. That was the 2011 Giants, who won it all against the Patriots in the Super Bowl, which is still one that sticks in me. But mostly 10 of those 13 teams lost in the wild card round, while 12 of the 13 teams lost either in the wild card round or the divisional round. So again, if the Green Bay Packers were playing anybody else except the Chicago Bears, I would say Green Bay is losing today and they're getting sent home. But they got the best matchup they could ask for, and the Bears got the worst matchup that they could ask for, playing their divisional rival, a team that knows them very well, and frankly, a team that should be 2-0 this year up against them. So I just think you guys match up really well, and I think Matt LaFleur, as of right now, is a better coach than Ben Johnson, and frankly, Ben Johnson worries me. I feel like he's going to do something boneheaded today. He's going to call some ridiculous play that's going to backfire. He
does have a habit of getting a little cute. The ridiculous play that backfired on him last time was that Cole Kmet lining up under center play on a 4th and short in deep inside Packer territory. And the snap came when Kmet wasn't ready for it. So yeah, maybe that happens. I do feel strongly about the over in this game.
Okay.
Matt. Now, like wind and the weather is kind of a concern here for some people, but I think Seth, our producer, just put up, he mentioned that the forecast, it's calling for winds 15 to 17 miles per hour, which is kind of below my threshold for concern. Gusts like up over 20, but low 20s. That's actually kind of dialed back from what they were predicting a couple days ago for the game here. And they were also predicting snow. Now they're saying no snow. So I don't think weather is going to go ahead.
No, which is, I always laugh at this because it's because of the part of the country that you guys live in, because like it's really the most ridiculous. There was severe weather warnings on Wednesday. Like there was like blizzard, there was lake effect snow, there was like and then people were running and betting it. And the market reacted to that weather forecast. And it went from 46.5 down to 44.5, which gives you, I think, the opportunity to bet the over, because I think it's a gross overreaction to a weather forecast that is not accurate.
Because if this game was being played in really benign conditions, I feel like the total should be like 51 for this game. And we're getting it at 44. We're getting like a free touchdown here. Like it's Matt LaFleur versus Ben Johnson, two of the most reputable offensive schemers in the league. Both teams have huge defensive weaknesses. The Bears have given up 300 plus passing yards to the last two quarterbacks they've faced. I mean, Brock Purdy absolutely tore them to ribbons 2 weeks ago on Sunday Night Football. And then Jared Goff kind of had his way with them in week 18. The Bears run defense ranks 28th in DVOA. They don't have a very good pass rush. I think they're 22nd in pressure rates. And on the other side, the Packers pass rush, not that potent without Micah Parsons. They're also without one of their best run defenders, Devontae Wyatt. We saw Derrick Henry run all over the Packers a couple of weeks ago. And we saw Caleb Williams have some success throwing against them in that last game in week 16. So Packers are 6th in offensive DVOA. Bears are 9th in offensive DVOA. So 2 top 10 offenses. Packers are 19th in defensive DVOA and have been worse than that since the Micah Parsons injury, and the Bears are 25th. I think these teams are going to fly up and down the field. And with the weather concerns lessened, like I don't really like either side in this game, but I absolutely love the over. It's probably my favorite bet of any of these first round games.
I'm betting it right now. You've talked me. You talked me into it. I want it. I'm taking it. It makes perfect sense. I mean, I was looking at the weather forecast and I'm like, why is everyone losing their minds over the weather at the moment? Like it's 44.5. That just seems to be too low for this type of game. 44.5. If you go through the history of these teams, the first game was 28-21. The second game was 22-16, but that game probably should have been more higher scoring than it was. So there was 44.5 in Chicago, and the game went under by 6.5 points. But that was weather, that was regular season. There was a lot of factors that came. This is playoffs. Anything they were holding on to, anything that was, in the back pocket. I'm with you. I like the over a lot. 44.5. I'm with you. Bet the over on this game here. 46.5. And then the overreaction to the weather. I just don't think it. Green Bay 6-3 this year on the road to the over. The Bears were 6-2 to the under at home. That's the one little hook here. But I do think the Bears are going to be able to move the ball. As you mentioned, your defense is at the moment not great. They haven't been stopping anybody of late. And I mean, you just look at the scores. Yes, take week 18 out for a second, but 41 points by Baltimore, 22 points by Chicago, 34 points by Denver, 21 points by Chicago, 24 points by Detroit. They've been giving up 20 plus points consistently. And I think if we get 20 points out of Chicago, this game's going over.
Yeah. I mean, Micah Parsons was that guy who could just single-handedly, he was going to snuff out one drive per game by himself.
Right.
And they don't have that guy anymore. So, and as much as I like the over, I also like the over for the totals for both quarterbacks passing, which last I checked on Hard Rock Bet, I think it was Caleb Williams was 206.5 and Jordan Love was 227.5 passing yards. And
where?
Go ahead.
No, I'm just curious where the chat keeps on asking us about -2.5. Where are you guys seeing 2.5? Because I'm looking all over the world. I can't find a 2.5 in the market anywhere. It's 1 at Caesars. It's 1 at Hard Rock Bet. It's 1 at the South Point here in Vegas. It's 1.5 at Circa, but I don't see anybody at 2.5. Do you, Pat?
No. And earlier today, I was seeing Bears -1.
Okay.
Like it has oscillated pretty wildly, but just I have not seen anything over 1.5 points for either team.
That seems. I don't know where you guys are seeing the 2.5s. I mean, I'm not saying they don't exist, but that seems DraftKings went to 2.5. Okay, so everyone's saying that DraftKings, not on my odds board. It hasn't adjusted yet to go to 2.5 on my odds board yet. I've got 1.5 for DraftKings on my odds board, but not say it didn't change. But my gut tells me that goes to 2.5. Pro money is going to take the 2.5 pretty quick. Like that's going to gobble that up. And if it gets to 3, you're going to see a dump truck coming on the Bears. Like that'll be unload coming up on that. That will be really interesting.
Yeah, I can't imagine this game going off at more than 1.5 on either side.
Can I say something controversial?
Sure.
Because somebody just put it, Seth just mentioned it on FanDuel, got it at 2.5, I guess. There's a lot of controversy flying around on social media right now about FanDuel's decision to stop awarding your refund bets when the player you bet on gets hurt. And I just want to give them an attaboy for this, because I hope everyone does this. I hope every book in America stops rewarding gamblers for a fluke injury that happens and giving people their money back. I know you guys are going to say, what are you talking about, Matt? You're going to be mad. Hear me out for 1 second. The reason why those books give you that money back is because it's promotional dollars. Okay. There's not enough money in that pool, in that market, to impact them, but they get to do it completely random. There's no rhyme or reason for when they refund someone and when they don't refund somebody. So if it's a high profile person, they may refund it. But if it's a left, say it's a left tackle that gets blown up, so your running props are dead, right? They're not going to give you your money back for that. If it's a backup wide receiver that you've taken and gone over 2.5 receptions and they get hurt, they're not going to refund you for that. So what we have created is this world of people who gamble, and they expect when a player gets hurt, they expect to get their money back. And when they don't get their money back, they're mad. And it's not gambling. When you put a bet up, we are assuming the risk that an injury could happen. Do you guys know how many bets I have lost because the starting quarterback has gotten hurt for the team that I bet on? The books aren't giving me my money back. They aren't saying, here you go, Matt. Oh, it's a bad break, and we're going to give you your money back. That's gambling. A guy gets hurt. That stinks. Move on to the next game. So I feel like everyone is taking complete pot shots, and I'm not like a FanDuel supporter by any means. Okay. And generally speaking, Hard Rock Bets got better odds, and I'm a supporter of the sponsor for us. But I just wanted to say that, like, everyone taking their shots today, Fanatics took out like a full page ad practically on every one of their social medias. Fanatics has been hammering FanDuel today. So Dave Portnoy did a whole 15-minute video thing on it today. Like, everyone is trouncing them. And I'm going, am I the only one that's like applauding?
Plus, it seems like injury risk is kind of baked into the player prop numbers anyway, which is why the overs generally look more attractive. Because, a guy should probably be at 59.5 receiving yards, and they've got it at 56.5. I feel like that's kind of baking in the risk of an in-game injury.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope every book decides to change and follow suit and say, hey, look, we're betting, guys. Like, we're gambling. Like, that's what we're doing. We're predicting things to happen, and injuries are part of it. Because if you bet the under and the guy gets hurt, you cash. Okay. So if the running back's got a bum ankle and he gets hurt in the first quarter and he's played, you win. So there are ways to go ahead and play that on this. And so I get it. Everyone's like, oh, I want my money back, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because they've conditioned you like Pavlov's dog. They've conditioned you that when someone gets hurt, you're going to go, oh, I get my money back, right? And then when you don't, you're furious.
Right.
So there's no, if they gave their money back on every injury, I would say, okay, fine. Good luck running a book. I mean, your business model is going to be shot if you do that. It's just the picking and the choosing of who gets refunded and who doesn't. That's always been my biggest problem on that. And I totally understand all you people. As I said, it was controversial. People in the chat, you guys are going to get all mad. You guys are going to get all upset because you think you should get your money back. Okay. I understand that. A big study came out today that the average wager in America is $13 on a legalized sports book. Okay. I get it. You want your money back. But the books are giving you your money back because the average wager is $13. It's nothing off their back to give it back to you, except when it's a big, big market. Then they keep it. And this is a great point. You buy stock and it tanks and get my money back? Yeah. I mean, so it is a different opinion. I understand it. The new gamblers, the 25-year-olds, you guys have been gambling now for 2-3 years. I get it. You guys are used to this. But I hope that every book follows suit and every book stops giving these bad beat refund stuff, because it doesn't help you in the long run. Just completely being transparent. It doesn't help you as a gambler in the long run. Let's talk about tomorrow. These games are going to be fun. I like your team is playing tonight. So obviously my team is playing tomorrow night. So we both got night games to watch Saturday and Sunday. But the Bills and the Jaguars game is so fascinating. Jaguars -1. that there is obviously some disagreements in the market in terms of which book you're looking at from a price perspective. There are some books that have Buffalo favored. There are some books that have Jacksonville favored. There are most books who are down to a pick with a total of 51.5 in this game. I like Jacksonville money line. I don't care about the point spread. I'm taking Jags over the Bills. Where are you, Pat?
I'm with you. And we talked about this in our early Best Bets show
Look ahead
this week. Yeah, where we both like this one. And I think when we talked about it, it was even money to get the Jaguars on the money line. And now it's minus 120 Jags, last I checked on Hard Rock Bet. So I just think the Jaguars are the better team. They've won 8 straight games. And granted, some of those wins were against some of the tomato cans of the NFL, but they did beat the Broncos in Denver very convincingly. They beat the Chargers 35-6 as part of that 8-game win streak. Their last loss was against the Texans way back in week 10. And the Jaguars, they were up 29-10 going into the fourth quarter of that game and had an epic meltdown at the end. And that was pretty much the worst football they've played at any point over the last 2.5 months. This is a pretty battle-tested team. I think the Jaguars are 5-4 this season against other playoff teams. And granted, yes, the Bills are an AFC blue blood. They've won at least one playoff game in each of the last 5 years. I don't know if this iteration of the Bills is as good as those past iterations of the Bills. Like Buffalo's passing game looks pretty ragged these days. They have one of the worst groups of wide receivers in the NFL. The run defense is just flat out bad. So, yeah, I just feel like this is not the same Buffalo team we've gotten in recent years, and yet people have enormous confidence in the Bills to get past the first round. And Duval has made a believer out of me, Matt. It took me a long time to get on the bandwagon, but I'm on it now.
So here are the numbers. Since Josh Allen's first playoff appearance in 2019, he is the least profitable quarterback in the postseason. He's 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread on the road. That is tied with Matt Hasselbeck for the worst straight up mark for any quarterback since 2003. The last playoff win for the Buffalo Bills on the road was back in 1993. The Bills have to run the football to be effective, and they are facing a defense that has not given up a 75-yard rusher yet this season. And the running backs they have faced, you might say, oh, it's just a bunch of, nobodies. Wrong. They faced Jonathan Taylor. They have faced good running backs, Ashton Genty, Christian McCaffrey, Chase Brown. None of them have gone for 75 or more yards up against this Jacksonville defense. And while Josh Allen can clearly do everything, and he clearly is Superman, and I do like him to throw the football here, the Bills' pass defense, I think, is going to have a big problem here against this pass offense that has been the hottest over the second half of the season of any offense, any passing attack in the NFL. You could say it coincided with Jacoby Myers being picked up at the trade deadline, but it's not just him. Washington's been tremendous, not getting nearly as much run. That's the prop bet I like, him on his over yardage in this. I just think this is an offense that's primed to put up a big number. I like the over. I've teased the Rams down to 4 and taken this total from 51.5 down to 45.5 and gone over. I think both offenses will score, but at the end of it, I like the Jags offense more than the Bills offense, given the defense they're going to be facing.
Yeah, that sounds right. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if James Cook became the first guy to go for more than 75 rushing yards against the Jaguars, because this Bills offensive line can absolutely mash. But is James Cook single-handedly going to win the game and
right.
have one of these 200-yard rushing games against the Jaguars? I don't think so. Not in Jacksonville. So while he might have some success, like Josh Allen is also going to have a good game through the air. And with this group of pass catchers, I don't have a ton of confidence that he's going to be able to do that. Should we talk more about Parker Washington? Because I think
sure.
we both like different props here. Are you more on the reception prop?
I like him for over 4.5 receptions. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one too. I like over 53.5 receiving yards too. Like, he has become the go-to guy for Trevor Lawrence down the stretch. Over his last 3 games, Washington has 29 targets 19 catches, 347 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So over 100 yards a game in the last 3 weeks. The Bills slot corner, Teron Johnson, he's okay. He's not great. He's not a shutdown guy. I know he had that big interception return for them in the playoffs last year, but and Trevor Lawrence just seems to love throwing to his slot receivers and tight ends much more than he likes throwing to his outside receivers. Like Evan Engram had that 114 yard or 114 catch season. I think that was 2023. The year before that, it was Christian Kirk, 84 catches, over 1,100 yards. So Parker Washington just seems to be his guy right now, and I don't think he's going to go away from him.
I agree. And look, this is a Jaguars team that enters the postseason covering 8 consecutive games. They're 8-2 over their last 10, 7-1 ATS at home this season, 9-3 against the conference. The Bills 6-6 against the conference. And you look at the road games for Buffalo this year. I mean, not great. Against Atlanta, they lost the game by 10 points as 3.5-point favorites. They killed Carolina the next week, but then they lost by 17 to the Miami Dolphins, who have been horrible this year. They went on the road and lost to the Texans. They were laying 4.5. They lost the game by 4. Yeah, they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, they beat the Patriots, but they didn't cover against the Cleveland Browns. And frankly, they were lucky to win that game. If you watch that game, the Browns were live, even with all the crap that went on with Shedeur Sanders. They had a shot to win that football game. They're just not the same team on the road. If they can use the weather to their advantage, Buffalo obviously is a really hard team to face in Buffalo. But this game's in Jacksonville where the weather's going to be perfect, and you're going to have a Jacksonville Jaguar team that, look, it's not the greatest home field advantage, but it's still a home field advantage. You're at home in the NFL at a basic pick-em price for a team that went 7-1 ATS at home. I just feel like the public is getting way too enamored here with Josh Allen, and they think, oh, it's Josh Allen. He's going to do something special. He's one guy, guys. I know he's the most important player on the field, but Pat, it feels like we're expecting too much out of Josh Allen today.
I think we are. He's just not getting enough help from those wide receivers. He just doesn't have a dependable playmaker.
And I think they'll address that in the offseason. I expect the Bills to do and maybe this is it for Sean McDermott. I mean, this could be his last game. If he gets, they're going into a new stadium next year, and I think there could be an appetite for a restart with this offense, with a quarterback that obviously is expecting to win. And without Mahomes and without Burrow and without Lamar Jackson in this bracket, it will never be easier for the Bills and Josh Allen to win the AFC than right now. And if they lose this game tomorrow, I think there's going to be a lot of questions about what the future for Buffalo will look like, and that could lead Sean McDermott to being fired.
Yeah, and as much as I like McDermott and respect what he's done with the Bills defensively over the years, I mean, is there a play caller on the AFC side of the bracket that you trust more than Liam Cohen at this point?
No, not right now. I mean, maybe Josh McDaniels is pretty good, but Cohen's been great. I mean, it's that he's got a quarterback that again, over the last half of the season, Trevor Lawrence was the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL. Like, he was tremendous. He was tremendous.
Cohen has gotten Trevor Lawrence over the hump, and he's revived ETN. Like after ETN's 100%. Down year last year, like ETN is looking great this year.
He really is. So we'll watch that number overnight, see where it goes. It's ping pong and back and forth. Bills -1, Jags -1, pick 'em pretty much is the consensus at most books at the moment, but that could change that. Andy, I think you're wrong. 0 chance McDermott gets fired. I think you're absolutely wrong that there's 0 chance that he gets fired. That's not true by even a little bit. That's not true. If they lose tomorrow, you could very well see Sean McDermott get fired 100%. It'll never be easier for the Buffalo Bills to win the AFC than right now. And the Patriots are not going anywhere. And if John Harbaugh is headed to Miami, that's a huge problem for the Buffalo Bills. This division, you had a 5-year window. Your team had a window. They blew it. They had a shot. They blew it. And now everyone else is coming, and the Patriots aren't going anywhere. And your run and your domination over the East is over. So, yeah, I do think there's a shot Sean McDermott's getting blown out. If they lose tomorrow, I think there's a 50-50 shot he gets fired if they lose tomorrow. If they win, I don't think there's any problem. But if they lose tomorrow to Jacksonville, that is Yeah, that is not going to be good. Guys, this live stream is being brought to you by our friends at Hard Rock Bet. They are the Florida Sportsbook, the official sportsbook partner for the teams of Florida like Jags, Bucks, Heat, Magic, Panthers. Playoff weekend. There is so much to get into. Same game parlays, in-game wagering, and more. If you don't want to bet football, they've got college basketball and NBA available, player props, and more right there on Hard Rock Bet. If you guys haven't gone and downloaded the app, make your first deposit. $5 bet. If it wins, they'll get your winnings over to you, plus $150 in extra bonus bets. Hard Rock Bet is the only legal sports book in Florida, but it's also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, and Michigan. Hard Rock Bet's got new promos every day, so download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit today. Let's go to a game that I am really wishy-washy on. Eagles on the road the Niners on the road at the Eagles. This number was as high as 6.5 when I took it for San Francisco. It's now down to 5. I guess Trent Williams is playing, Pat. I don't know what to make of this number. It's 5 or 5.5. It was 6.5 last night. What do you make of this with the Eagles at home, defending champs against the 49ers, who before last week in their loss to Seattle, they were the hottest team in the NFL?
So we might be on opposite sides of this one, Matt, but I also think it's opposite based on kind of where the price is. Like, you like the Niners at 6.5. I'm still seeing 6 in some spots.
Okay.
I think right before we started this, I was looking at Hard Rock Bet, and they had Eagles -6. So I got the Eagles earlier in the week at 4.5. I don't like the Eagles nearly as much as at 6. That bakes out a lot of the value, I think. And for me, I do like the over here. And I was seeing 44 earlier today as the number. The 49ers defense has just been so ragged.
Bad.
Yeah. Their last 4 games, the Niners have given up an average of 25.5 points and 355 yards of offense. And it's not like they were facing a murderer's row of offenses. That was 24 points against the Titans. They gave up 27 points to Phillip Rivers and the Colts. They gave up 38 points to the Bears and just couldn't stop the Bears at all. And last week, they only gave up 13 points to Seattle, but the Seahawks left points on the table in that game. So, as frustrating as the Eagles offense has been at times this season, it looks like there's a good chance they're going to have star right tackle Lane Johnson back for this game.
Mm-hmm. That's huge.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have trouble moving the ball and putting up points against this 49ers defense. And as much as I respect Robert Saleh, I just don't think he has enough to work with here. I mean, the 49ers, they're just an over team. They rank 2nd in offensive DVOA, 27th in defensive DVOA. It is going to be breezy in Philadelphia, and that might be holding down the total a bit here. It could affect kicking games, but it's below my 20-mile-an-hour threshold. So I like the over here, and I did like the Eagles. Now I'm as wishy-washy as you are on this one.
Yeah, so I took 6.5. I'll say this: if Trent Williams is out and Lane Johnson is in, I will tease this down, and I will do a teaser and just take the Eagles money line and just say, okay, I'll be on plus 6.5. I'll be on the Eagles money line, and I'll hope that we fall somewhere in the middle and create my own middle opportunity coming up with it, because I really do think that those two players can swing the game. It's kind of crazy. They're both offensive linemen, but I do think that if Lane Johnson's playing, that running attack is completely different for the Eagles. And if Trent Williams can play, Christian McCaffrey's numbers go through the roof. They can run the ball, and thus Brock Purdy will have more time to be able to throw the football down the field. And even if George Kittle's not 100%, you still have him being available. So 6.5, if it stays there, if Lane Johnson's playing, I'll tease it down tomorrow. I'll put it on the juice tomorrow. But I do like right now, I got 6.5. That's the number that I bet for the Niners to cover the 6.5 point number, to cover that 6 and keep the game relatively close. But for Brock Purdy, 51 career starts in the NFL, been a dog just 4 times. He's 0-4 straight up and 0-4 against the spread, failing to cover by over 12 points. No quarterback dating back to 2003 has gone 0-5 ATS as a dog. So kind of Do you expect him to buck the trend, or does Purdy make history because him as a dog is an automatic fade? So I would probably at 6.5. I think he's got a shot to cover it. But again, those two injuries are gigantic.
Yeah. And I do think so. I think Trent Williams last we saw got in a limited practice. So I think it's probably more likely to play, which is kind of why I like the over on McCaffrey's rushing yardage.
Yep.
Which I got at 57.5 earlier in the week. Now it's up to 63.5. Don't like it quite as much as that at that number, but I mean, McCaffrey was really inefficient early in the season, but that was because George Kittle wasn't around, and he's such a key to that running game. And when Kittle came back in week 7, since then McCaffrey has averaged 78.7 rushing yards a game and 4.3 yards per carry. So as long as he and Trent Williams are playing, I think he's going to smash the over on rushing yardage.
I fully will admit the level of competition here that I'm going to cite makes it a little bit wishy-washy, but the Niners were 7-2 to the number on the road this year, and their last 4 road games they did cover in their last 4 road games. That was the Giants by laying 2.5. They won by 10. Arizona laying 3.5. They won by 19. Cleveland laying 5.5. They won by 18. In Indianapolis, they were laying 4, and they won by 21 points. So they have been road warriors. They're 10-6-1 this year overall. Philly is 10-7 at home. Philly went 4-4. You throw out that Washington game because they didn't play anybody, but against Vegas, they beat them by 31 points. In the home game before the Washington game, they took apart the Raiders. The game before that, though, they lost at home to Chicago by 7-point favorites. They lost outright, and they lost on the road to Dallas, where that 3-game swoon happened for Philly, where they lost to Chicago, Dallas, Chicago, and the Chargers over a 3-game stretch. So I'm very curious to see what the offense with Saquon Barkley looks like here for Philadelphia, and what does Robert Saleh, who now is back in the mix for head coaching positions, what does he come up with to stop the Philadelphia running game? Because if you make it all about Jalen Hurts, that's how I think if you're the Niners, that's how you win the game. You got to make it all about Jalen Hurts. You got to stop him. You got to stop the running attack and make him stay in the pocket and throw the football. But if they can run the ball with Barkley and Hurts, I think the Niners are in real trouble.
Yeah, you know how you make a quarterback stay in the pocket? By not getting any sort of pass rush on him, Matt. And I think the 49ers are like 4th lowest in pressure rates. And that's why I kind of like the total on Jalen Hurts rushing yardage in this game, 30.5 yards. I love the under. 49ers are giving up the 4th fewest rushing yards to quarterbacks because quarterbacks feel very comfortable in the pocket against them and don't feel the need to vacate it and run.
True. All right, let's go to the Patriots game. Chargers on the road. You got a West Coast team playing in prime time, so body clock is better for them than the Patriots, but it's not that big of a deal. Weather is balmy in New England. It's going to be 40 degrees at kickoff. Ridiculous for mid-January. Patriots laying 3.5. That number has been stapled and has not moved all week. The total is 46 for the first playoff game in the career of one Mr. Drake May. Justin Herbert has not been great. 2 playoff starts on the road, straight up ATS 0-2 in both those games. The Chargers defense has been horrible. They've allowed 63 points, more than 30 points in both of those games. And Pat, everyone's telling me about the Chargers pass rush. I don't know. Drake May and company, call it a homer play for me, but I like the Pats.
Yeah, I do too. We're both on the Pats here, and Drake May has passed every test this year, like every test that's been thrown in front of him, and I can't even remember. Like, there's been no catastrophic game for Drake May this year. Like, just games are as low as we've gotten, more or less.
I mean, the Steeler game was pretty bad. I mean, but that was week 3. I mean, it's been a while, but the Steeler game was bad. I mean, they had 5 turnovers. They fumbled the ball 3 times. He threw 2 picks. That was the worst game of the year.
But didn't they keep getting into the red zone in that game? And then it was
Stevenson fumbled on the goal line twice.
Yes. So what I can't get past in this game is just how problematic the Chargers offensive line has been. I just don't think they can adequately protect Justin Herbert without giving up some drive-killing sacks. And I think it's going to be real hard for them to open up holes against the Patriots in the running game now that the Patriots have Milton Williams and Robert Spillane healthy. So this one was kind of an easy one. And it's interesting that this is like the one line of all these games that has not moved at all. We've seen some ping-ponging on all these other lines, and this one is just sat at 3.5 the whole time.
I think the reason is because I think the professionals are going to roll everything to this game. I think you'll see line movement before. I think it's going to go to 4. I think this number closes at 4 or 4.5. But I think it's going to depend upon what happens in the 4 games before it. And then the pros will come in and hammer it because the numbers, and like you mentioned, passing every test, Drake May as a 3-point or more favorite this year is 10-0 straight up and 8-2 against the spread. And he's won an average, those 10 games, he's won by an average of 17 points per game. So they're not just winning, they're blowing out their opposition. And there are some people that think this is a mismatch here, that Herbert's not healthy. This offensive line's not going to be able to protect. You can't run the ball against Spillane and Williams. And you got Will Campbell back at left tackle for the Patriots. They're healthy. Like, this is the good version of the Patriots, not the version that couldn't stop the run late in the year or at times protect Drake May. But Drake just at home, he's just really comfortable. I know that this is the first playoff game for Drake May, but I don't think anybody in the organization expects the moment to be too big for him. Now, next week, let's see what happens, because it could be Jacksonville coming to town, and I need Mother Nature to be a you-know-what to show up with her worst in that game against the Jaguars. And then he would go to play the Broncos in Denver if it plays out via seeding, or the Patriots would host the AFC Championship game. So, I mean, I think everybody in New England would feel at this point, not that it's a failure that they would lose this game because they're way ahead of schedule, but most people would be surprised if the Patriots lost on Sunday night.
I agree with that. This Chargers team, had they not lost their offensive tackles, Rashawn Slater, which was back before the season, and Joe Alt was a big
huge
one. When Alt got hurt, like, everything just fell apart with this offensive line, and I don't think they've really recovered.
Just so you know, just if you are ever going to do a referee trend, the Patriots have lost 4 straight games against the spread with Ron Tolbert as the referee. So just if you're looking to handicap, but they are 2-0 in the playoffs with him refereeing games. So in the regular season, they've lost 4 straight games. In the playoffs, they're 2-0 with Ron Tolbert, and Justin Herbert's 0-3 ATS with him. So neither team is happy to see Ron Tolbert as the referee coming up here for this game.
Ron has been rough on my Packers too, Matt. So that's a guy neither of us wants to see doing our games.
Guys, the Betting Pros app is a great place to track your bets and get line alerts straight to your phone by downloading the Betting Pros app. Sportsbook Sync automatically tracks your bets across all major sportsbooks in one spot. You can easily monitor your bet performance by sport and bet type, including game picks, props, and parlays. Create best custom betting systems to find winning trends and profitable opportunities. And new users can get 6 months of Betting Pros Premium for free with your first deposit as a partner sportsbook. Download the Betting Pros app today. Go to bettingpros.com/premium to take advantage of that offer. 6 months of Betting Pros Premium with a deposit and a wager at a partner sportsbook. And always, I like to remind people when it comes to the tracking of the bets, we don't sell your data. Okay. It was one of them. Like, I remember, it was 2 years ago. I took one of our data scientists aside and I was like, I need you to tell me the truth. And he's like, what? Like, when we're tracking people's bets, what do we do with the data? He said, nothing. What do you mean? I said, we don't sell it to anybody? No, don't sell it to anybody. We keep that perfectly private. So just FYI, when you use that app to track, if you are concerned about that, because there are apps that do use your data and sell your data. I know of them. I won't say my name, but I know they do it. We do not do that. So it is a private thing. When you're syncing your sports book, it's not going anywhere else. It'll stay between you and the book, and that's it when you're tracking. The game on Monday night, 23 consecutive wins, because I'm chucking out the loss in COVID when there are fans in the stands at, I'll always call it Heinz Field. Steelers at home, dogs to the Texans, 23 games in a row, won by Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin has been dominant. He's 12-0 in these games. The total is down to 38.5. I'm not even screwing around with the points here, Pat. Give me Steelers money line. Pittsburgh's knocking out the Texans. Where are you?
Wow. So I feel like the Texans are the better team. So this game is going to be an absolute rock fight. Like, I have a really hard time envisioning a way that the Pittsburgh offense scores more than 10 points against the Houston defense. Like, that's probably the best defense in the NFL. I don't know how much the return of DK Metcalf from suspension is going to help when Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be under duress from Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter all game.
100%.
And on the other side of the ball, I'm not real confident about Houston being able to run, but I do think the Steelers can be a little leaky in the back end. And we saw that Sunday night in that Ravens game when they gave up some big plays, especially late. And the Texans do have some playmakers at wide receiver with Nico Collins and rookie Jaden Higgins. So I do think the Texans are the better team. But then again, Matt, I mean, it's just when I think the Steelers are the inferior team, I bet the Steelers. And when I think the Steelers are the better team, I bet against the Steelers. And that formula has been golden for me over the last month and a half. So
last 5 years.
Last 5 years. Yeah, it's the Tomlin, Tomlin recipe.
Yes.
But whereas you like the side more, I'm betting the under.
Okay.
And it's 38 right now. And I mean, you could give me this at 35 and I'd still like the under. I mean, I think this is going to be an unsightly game.
Your boy Aaron Rodgers, 14 times with the Packers and other teams, has played on Monday night. He's 12-2 straight up. Stroud on the road, 0-2 in his career. Houston, 0-6 straight up on the road in the playoffs as a franchise. They're 1-4-1 ATS. Here's some crazy things. The Steelers haven't scored a single point in the first quarter of their last 6 playoff games. They've outscored 73-0 in the first quarter of their last 6 games. So maybe a first quarter under or first quarter Texans coming up on that to jump in on that if you want. I think it's really interesting to see how many trends are anti-Houston and positive Pittsburgh, and yet we are still seeing people saying the Texans defense will be the difference.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of it. That's the matchup I can't get past, the Pittsburgh offense versus the Houston defense, and just not being able to envision the Steelers moving the ball consistently in this game.
All right, guys, we're going to take you up here to about 4:15 Eastern time when we're going to hand things off to Joey P and Scott Bogman. They're going to take you through an in-game Rams and Panthers betting opportunity, picks, plays, lines, movement, things you can do in-game wise right here on the Wildcard Playoff live betting special for us on the YouTube channel for Betting Pros. So we're going to hang here for the next 7 minutes or so, and then we're going to hand things over to Joey P and Scott Bogman for you guys. So stick around for that here with your second screen opportunity. But before we wrap out of here, your full card, Pat, let's go ahead and give it out. What do you like for all 6 games?
Yeah, so we talked about both liking the Patriots -3.5 versus the Chargers, and we both like the money line for the Jaguars against the Bills. I love Packers Bears over 44.5. That's probably my favorite bet of the week. I also think 49ers Eagles goes over just because of the 49ers. They're an over team, like the good offense, terrible defense. And Texans Steelers, I can't imagine that one getting over 38 points. So for props, I like Jordan Love against this Bears defense. I think he's going to make some plays. I mean, the Bears have given up more than 300 yards to the last 2 quarterbacks they've covered. I feel like their pass defense is starting to fall apart a little bit. I know they're getting Kyler Gordon, their slot cornerback, from injury, but I don't think that changes things all that much. George Kittle, I saw someone in the chat mentioning that they think George Kittle could have a big game, but I'm not so sure he isn't playing on a high ankle sprain. He injured himself against the Colts in week 16, so I'm not sure he's fully healthy. But even if he is fully healthy, he is going against an Eagles defense that has been really stingy to tight ends all year. They've given up the second fewest receptions and second fewest receiving yards to tight ends this season. And, I also think they might need him as a blocker. And I talked about it, the Jalen Hurts thing. When a quarterback is cozy in the pocket, there is no need for him to get out and run. Plus, Jalen Hurts is averaging 26.5 rushing yards a game. That's a 5-year low for him. So he just hasn't been running all that much this season, and I don't think he's going to need to against a 49ers defense that is incapable of putting heat on quarterbacks.
All right, for me, my full card, including the games today, we are going first game out of the gate. I am taking the over for the Rams and the Panthers, over 46.5. I think we see points. I think the Rams score. I think the Panthers score. I think we're going over. I'm also going to tease the Rams down to -4. I got 10. You can take it from 10.5 down to 4.5, or you can go do a 6.5 or a 7-point teaser if you want to pull it down. You can get to 3.5 if you pull it down from 10.5 down to 4 for the Rams. I do think the Rams win today. I think the game goes over. I think we'll see offense on both sides. I like the Rams team total over. If you want to do a teaser, another lean, excuse me, we Rams team total over. And then the other side of the teaser is going to be the Bills and the Jags. I'm going to take that total from 51.5 and pulling it down. Both the Jags and the Bills offenses should score and put up points. I like Jacksonville to win the game outright on the money line. I don't care about the spread. Jags win. They'll knock out the Bills. Packers tonight. I like Green Bay to win this game. I could see it being an over game for sure. I have followed Pat with that, and I added that personally, but I think Pat's right about the over at 44.5. This was an overreaction due to the weather forecast that we saw earlier in the week about wind, rain, and just nasty conditions in Chicago. That's not happening here. I mean, this is what happens in Chicago. The weather can turn in a second, and it turned for the good here. So Packers money line to win. We both like the Patriots. I just think this is a bad matchup for the Chargers here in prime time with the Patriots getting healthy. Chargers just have too many injuries, and I don't think that defense can get enough of a pass rush to completely derail the Patriot offense at home. I like the 49ers plus 6.5. I'm going to wait and see about the injuries to see what happens here for Trent Williams and for Lane Johnson. If they're both playing, I think you could tease that down to just Eagles money line, basically. But if we're current, like Williams plays and Lane Johnson doesn't, I like the 49ers. Vice versa, if it's no Williams and the Eagles get Lane Johnson, I like the Eagles. But for now, I'll take plus 6.5. And then Monday night, Steelers to win the game, money line. I like Pittsburgh just to come up and win the game outright. My props, I like Parker Washington. We talked about him. I think he'll be peppered by Trevor Lawrence. He's been the go-to wide receiver here for this Jaguars offense. I think he'll get a bunch. Pat likes the over in yardage as well. I like that bet as well if you want to do both or pick and choose either or, but I like receptions. Pat likes over. I think Puka Nacua is going to have a big game today, over 94.5 rushing and receiving yards for Puka Nacua. I just don't think the Jaguars are going to be able to stop him, and he's been such a huge big game threat. And then finally on Monday night, Pat Freiermuth, the tight end for the Steelers, up against arguably the best defense against tight ends in the NFL. They're averaging just 6.3 yards per attempt per target per tight end. I don't think Freiermuth has a big game at all catching the football here. I'm going under 33.5 yards receiving, which goes right in line with your take, Pat, about the fact that the offenses aren't going to score very much for the Texans or for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everyone always likes to know like our favorite bet. I don't normally do that, but I'll ask you just to kill time here for 3 minutes. Do you have a favorite play today for your card?
I do. And first I want to totally echo you on that Freiermuth call. Okay. He's only averaging 2.4 catches and 28.6 yards a game this season, and he's going against a defense that's really rough on tight ends. So I think that's a great call. I love the over tonight in Packers Bears. I can't imagine this being a low scoring affair. I think both teams are going to go up and down the field, and I think one of these teams at least is going to score like 30 plus points tonight.
30.
One team is putting up a 30 burger for sure. And I see a score of like 30 to 27, 30, 24.
Your team winning?
I hope. Man, I know this has been torture for Seth, our producer here, a big Bears fan, like hearing your confidence in the Packers, but I can't get enough of it, Matt.
I just can't see Ben Johnson. I mean, look, I think Ben Johnson's going to be a really, really good coach. I do. I just think there's certain traits with Ben Johnson that worries me in playoff games. I just think he's going to, there's going to be a play that we are all going to be asking, why did you do that? What was the rationale? Why did you make that play call? And look, I think Caleb's going to have a great career. I think he's got his quarterback coach now, and I think that they're going to build out. They spent money on the offensive line, which was so brilliant and smart for them to do that. And Joe Thuney's a tremendous talent, and he's always on winning football teams and playoff teams. I just think that Bears defense, I think it's going to be the Achilles heel of this team here today. I like the Packers offense. I like Jordan Love and company. I think they move the football, and I think they have an opportunity to put up points. I think it's your team that scores 30 against the Bears.
Is that your favorite play of the weekend, or do you like something more than that?
No, my favorite play of the weekend, I mean, it's kind of nuts, but I really do like the over a lot in the game today. I think the over for the Panthers and the Rams. I just think we're going to see points in this game, and I really like the Rams to score a lot. I think the Rams. That's why I think the Pro is laying the 10.5. Their confidence. I think they're not going to win the game 17-3. Like, it would be really surprising to see that type of low scoring game, and given the defense for LA not being nearly as good on the road as they are at home. So I like the over in the game coming up here in 5 minutes. I like points between the Rams and the Panthers coming up here for today. All right, for Seth in the back, he is Pat Fitzmaurice. I am Matt Perrault. We'll be back next week. We'll do this all the way, including on Super Bowl Sunday. We'll go all the way through till we crown the next champion for the 2025 and 2026 season. Handing things off to Joey P and Scotty B. They got you for an in-game experience, a second screen for the Panthers and the Rams right here on the Betting Pros YouTube channel.